What is up, guys? The Strong Boys 19 here, and it is time to go into another movie review for you guys. And I'm going to start one of the franchises that I would like to review, and I'm going to promise you guys that I will be reviewing these films and the franchises, not frequently, just very, very separately because I've got many other videos to do. That is on my main hobby, which is music. But with that being said, it is time to dive into a franchise that needs no introduction, not only in horror, but in film history, period. And that is Halloween. And this is the Blu-ray of the first film that I've just got recently. And I also have the Anchor Bay DVD release of this and a box set which contains the first film, but from the sequels of 2 to 5. So not the whole franchise, but hey-ho. So, Halloween by John Carpenter was released in 1978, and this was one of the first films that Carpenter had ever done in his career. And when this movie came out, he did not expect the reception of this film to be skyrocketing, very highly. And I've looked at some of the reception, and it had close to 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. I believe it was like 95%. And Roger Ebert praised the film as he was a critic for some slasher films during his career. It's on for 91 minutes. It is rated 18 for some violence and strong threat. So nobody knew what to completely expect when it comes to this film. And it did terrify audiences that it was such a big, important film in the horror genre to begin with. So, out of all of the horror films in the history about it, Halloween is no exception, because this franchise later on spawned many different sequels to some remakes, and it became a big, influential cult following franchise for many different filmmakers to come. So I think that Halloween is one of the films that I really do see this as a classic, because it's not like your typical horror film that is, over the top with so much prosthetic effects to a lot of the gore and the violence and the big jump scares. Well, Halloween was one of the films that was significant because of its atmosphere. So this stars Jamie Lee Curtis, Donald Pleasence, and John Carpenter himself directed this movie. He did write the film with Deborah Hill. He did the music to this. I think everybody who made this film all did professionally well. The biggest favourite pick for a lot of the Halloween fans worldwide. Some would say that some of the sequels are better than this, either like Halloween 2 or Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. But Halloween is arguably known as one of the top greatest, if not maybe the greatest film in the franchise. The film is basically on a simple analysis and structure. It begins on Halloween night in the early 1960s, when a little boy named Michael Myers was a young boy, 6 years old. From the first few minutes of the film, he stalks his older sister, and she was with her boyfriend at the time, but after the boyfriend leaves, Michael decides to, put on a mask and grab a long dagger knife and brutally stabs his sister. And it then goes into the time period of 15 years later. So Michael Myers is now taken into a mental asylum, and Dr. Loomis, who's portrayed by Donald Pleasence, very, very greatly. He did a brilliant job as an actor to perform in that character's role, and he is Michael Myers' psychiatrist. So he looks after Michael, and as the film goes on, he then escapes, which leaves Dr. Loomis into, quite a lot of paranoia and stress, so that he wants to take Michael back into this mental asylum. And we later on get to be introduced by Jamie Lee Curtis's character by the name of Laurie, and herself and two other friends of hers are babysitters, so the three of them look after different children in separate homes. Well, anyhow, Michael Myers is on a big killing spree, hunting the other two friends of Laurie down. Then Michael's task is to go into his own hunting, stalking ways to take down Laurie as she's trying to survive before Michael attacks her. And with Dr. Loomis finding out about it, he really makes a move for it to try and stop him once and for all. That is really the whole synopsis of this movie. And what I do love about the film is the cinematography and the way that the camera was shot with Michael Myers just standing there, just like a tall figure dressed in black with the simple mask. The music in this movie was completely brilliant. I always loved this music in this film. It brings the movie a lot of depth and haunting sceneries. So, Halloween is one of the horror films that never ever gets old, never goes out of style. This was really the beginning of getting to know who Michael Myers is. Just a very, very mysterious, quiet, and an iconic horror figure in the later generations of becoming inspired by this franchise. Of course, with other slasher films like Friday the 13th, for example, and A Nightmare on Elm Street. But Halloween is one of those horror classics that really doesn't need to be said, because it is a classic in every single aspect. The acting was really, really great, and it was a selection of very good cast members portraying their roles. Jamie Lee Curtis, with her performance, was great, and the guy that played Michael Myers as well. And, it's one of those films that started it all. It started a big cult following to inspire many different people for later horror films. Well, obviously, some horror films in this day and age can be really good, but you just cannot beat horror films from the 1970s to the 1980s, etc., because these types of films, like Halloween, were the flicks that makes audiences feel interested and to become connected with a new style of film history. So, that is pretty much all I have to say about Halloween by John Carpenter. 5 stars out of 5. A classic first debut film into the franchise, and it's really worth the watch for anyone who wants to get into the genre alone. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll keep you guys posted for more videos in the near future.